No, these are my old glasses, but the lenses are so thick on them that they actually don't stick to my head. I can't find my other ones. All right, y'all. Good observation. Look at that, y'all. Look at that. Attention to detail. So I did an exercise with our team this morning, and it was really powerful. And I want you guys to write down. Everybody, grab a piece of paper. Turn on your cameras, y'all. This isn't for. This isn't Vicks on show and tell. This is we're all here together. So turn on your cameras. Um, I did this exercise this morning with our team. It was really cool. So I want you guys to write down. I'm going to turn on some music for us here in a second. I want you all to write down 3 to 5 traits of a champion. So think of somebody you consider a champion. Maybe it's an athlete. Maybe it's your favorite artist. Maybe it's somebody in your community. Maybe it's somebody in your household, right? But what are the traits of a champion? Go ahead and just write those out. What are the traits of a champion? Write down what are the traits of a champion. No, you do this too. What are the traits of a champion? You guys are done. Do your homework, right? Type it into the chat. What are the traits of a champion? You guys are done. Put it in the chat. What are the traits of a champion? Put it in the chat. Let me show you that. I didn't even know what was coming up on my YouTube. Any of you guys know me, you know that I don't share the music beforehand. But look at the picture. Look at the picture. How funny is that? How funny is that? You can't make this stuff up. You can't make this stuff up. This is traits of a champion. Get a couple. Let's go, y'all. Write down the traits of a champion. Let's go. Let's go. Write down the traits of a champion. 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 Resilience, commitment, resilience, commitment, resolve, unmoved when crap hits the fan, drive, persistence, organized, focus. Ooh, Ryan, I like that one. Learn from past mistakes. Ryan, were you at our meeting this morning? A leader, right? Consistent, disciplined, actionable. You guys, when I think of leaders, I don't think of Sharon. I think about you because you have to be able to lead yourself before you can lead others, right? So I think leadership starts with the self because if we don't lead ourselves, how do we lead others? So just kind of some different context to it. Consistent, disciplined, actionable, discipline, perseverance, never quit. Winning is only part of the journey and process. I love it, Matt. Mohammed, work ethic, not afraid to lose, gets it all, determination, eternal perspective, get it to the finish line, humility, service, unafraid of discomfort. Um, Not afraid to fail, always willing to learn, commitment within hours to perfect their craft. I like it, Jeff. You guys, like if you didn't read this one from Jeff, puts in hours to perfect their craft, right? Puts in the time to perfect their craft. I'll just straight be honest with y'all. I've sold in I've had businesses in 7 different industries. Real estate's the hardest, right, Laura Marshall Benuelos? Got new last names going on over here. Real estate's the hardest thing you can ever learn. Like, it is absolutely one of the hardest places. So I love that answer, Jeff. Puts in hours to perfect your craft. Persistence, grit, resilience, confidence, consistency, focus, persistent, belief. That's a good one. Relentless work ethic, toughness, clear vision, discipline. Highly motivated, does not quit at failure, works harder the next time.
teaches, leads others to be great, extremely disciplined, confident, self-motivated, disciplined. Learn to accept the truth about myself to work on improving. Ooh, that's deep. That's some deep ass reflection there, right? Like, be willing to accept where you're at to get to where you want to go. That's some deep, deep, deep reflection there, y'all. Practice Mamba mentality. If you guys don't know Mamba mentality, if Kobe saw somebody practicing, he wouldn't leave the court until he started working, until the game started. And then people would be like, yo, you literally practiced for like 6 hours straight and now you're going to play a game. He's like, yeah, we're not built the same. How psychologically messed up is that other person when they're like, holy crap, right? So I want to give you guys a perspective here because I agree with everything you guys said. There's a couple of things that stand out, though, as outliers in what you guys said, and I want to make sure that everybody understands it. The people that do the best learn from their past. But the question is, how do we learn from our past in sales? Because a lot of people tell you to go study, but sometimes we forget to tell you the actionable steps to actually study and like, what do you need to do? So I wanted to give you guys some actionable clarity before we go into how to win your listing presentation in the first 7 minutes. Number one, you have to have some mechanism to review the words that come out of your mouth. Because Mo, when Mo tells me he had a great call, I always say to him, did you review it first? He goes, yes. Awesome. What made it great? What made it great? Right? And he says, hey, I had 2 great calls today. I'm like, did you review them? He's like, no. I'm like, go review them and tell me what made them great. Because conversion happens in great conversations, not in regular conversations. Right? If you want to be above average, we have to have great conversations. So the first thing is what is your mechanism that you have so that you can go back and review the words that came out of your mouth? Did you listen consciously to the prospect, or were you just there trying to go through a process with the prospect? Big difference. Huge difference. Were you actually there for that person, or were you there for yourself? Huge difference, because sales is service, right? It's the ultimate service to be able to help somebody. So what is your mechanism? Now, if you're running a CRM, you can record your calls. If you're running a Zoom call, you can have a Fathom. If you're in person with somebody, you can grab your phone and you can put it upside down and you can have a voice recorder and you can record your conversation. Right? So one is you have to have the mechanism, right? You have to have a tool in order to do it. The second thing is what? The time. How many of you guys feel you're busy on a day-to-day basis? Yeah, put your hands up. Put your hands up. Put your hands up. It's okay. So you don't have the time. You make the time. So where have you carved out time in your calendar? Ollie, do you have a question or are you just raising your hand, brother?
No, I was just raising my hand.
Got it. Okay.
I don't know why I did that.
I don't either, but don't know how to lower it either. So help me help you. And maybe I'm not a co-host. That's why. Number 2 is you have to make the time to review, right? Do y'all think that Michael Jordan was less busy than you guys? Kobe Bryant was less busy than you? Tiger Woods is less busy than you? Like, we don't have to do press appearances. We don't have to do all those meetings behind the scenes that professional athletes have to do. So everybody in this world is busy. But the people that care make the time. So number 2 is you got to put it in your calendar. You got to put time to review into your calendar. Otherwise, what do? You don't do it. But Vic, I'm doing all this other stuff. If I show you my calendar, Ali has access to my calendar. Mo has access to my calendar. I promise you, we are the same level of busy. I promise you we're the same level of busy. So we call it net time, no extra time. So
What I tell my sales team is when you're getting ready and you're going to the gym, when you're driving to appointments, right? That's when you can review. You might not be fully conscious and present, but it's better to review then something powerful and positive than it is to ignore that and listen to the news. If anybody listens to the news, I can already tell you what's happening. The world's coming to an end. Something crashed. Somebody died. Some fire broke out. Something bad. There you go. I just filled in the next 6 years of your guys' news. There's some political uprightness that somebody loves, somebody hates. There's some religious thing. Somebody loves it, somebody hates it. So I just filled you guys in on the whole next 20 years of the news cycle. You're welcome. So now you can review during your news time. No extra time, right? Net time, no extra time. It means that while you're doing activities, you can also review. Now, you know what's also really fun to do is if you have children, let your children review your stuff. Because you know what's great about kids? Brutal honesty. Hey, honey, was I listening well here? No, Mom, you completely missed everything that they said. In fact, I don't even know if you guys were in the same room. Oh, okay, thanks, honey. You could go play now. No, I'm having fun, Mom. This is awesome. Here you could have said this. Here you could have done. Y'all would be shocked at how good kids are at letting you know how bad of a listener you are when you're in a sales situation. So no extra time. 3, you have to have a feedback loop, right? So for the guests here, this is a feedback loop. For Treza clients, right? For those of you part of the sales academy that I run, the feedback loop is when you raise your hand and ask me questions or ask your coach questions in the breakout rooms, right? That's the feedback loop. Because is it possible that sometimes we think we did great and we totally missed why the person was there? So 4 is number 3 or 4, I don't remember now, is the feedback loop. Now, a lot of you put humility, humbleness, willing to learn from their mistakes, but are you actually embodying that? Or is that just good things to say in a Zoom call? Because the embodiment of it is you actually showing up and raising your hand. Sometimes we show up, but we show up and we sit back. Why? Because we don't want to sound like we're what? Not smart. We don't want to sound like we're a beginner. We don't want to sound like we don't know what we're doing. We're in a real estate industry where ego is the most prized attribute of an agent. And so because of that, we all have huge egos to protect unknowingly. Some of it is unconscious. But that's because the industry we're in is all about perfection. You have to dress nice, walk nice, smell nice, right? Nice cars. My first agent had no car. He had sold 6 houses before I realized he didn't have a car. I'm like, how do you get to appointments? It's like Uber, the bus, borrow my girlfriend's car. I'm like, what? And the only reason I found out he had no car was because one day he missed an appointment. And I called him and I ripped his face off of his skull. And I'm like, why weren't you there? And he finally came to the office and he goes, bro, can I talk to you? And I'm like, it better be good. He's like, I don't have a car. I'm like, that's pretty good. That's pretty good. I'm like, where'd your car go? He goes, that's Nicole's. And I go, well, where's your car? He goes, I don't have a car. It's like, I'm broke. I don't make any money. I'm a server at a restaurant. I was like, damn, bro, why didn't you just tell me and borrow my car? He's like, I'm not going to borrow your car, man. I'm like, why? It's got no miles on it. Somebody should drive it. It's really nice. And he goes, nah, man, it's cool. And then, about a month later, he bought a car. So we all have these perceptions, but he sold a bunch of houses before he owned a car. And then when I was like, what'd you say to the client? He's like, I just told him my car's in the shop. I was like, but you don't have a car. He's like, well, no, my car's in the shop. I'm shopping for it right now. I was like, oh, you've been watching me too much. That's good. That's good. Fun banter. All right. So you got to have a feedback loop. And Mamba mentality is relentless practice. If you want to be at the top of your game, you got to have relentless practice. And some of us think practicing is like, oh, we watched one script and we looked at it one time and now we're going to be the champion. I'll tell you, that is not a great mentality, because if you look at the statistics of real estate, it hasn't changed in 20 years. Everybody seems shocked when the new NAR report comes out that 70% of agents didn't sell any houses, or they sold under 2 or 3, 4 houses. It's this big breaking news. It's like, no, it's the same news cycle every single year, right? In the coaching world and in the sales world that I'm in, right, everybody wants to get to 10K a month. The amount of people that get to 10K a month, very low. So you guys in real estate, not maybe you guys, but some of you guys buy leads and you go from one lead source to the next lead source to the next lead source to the next lead company to the next lead source to the next lead source to the next lead company to the next lead source to the next lead source, hoping and praying that the lead source is going to make your business better. In my world, people go from one offer to another 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 offer. It's the same exact thing. So high performance people, right, the champions, do all of that stuff. And if you're willing to do that, your life will fundamentally change. But it takes work and effort. Most of us don't want to work, because we didn't get into real estate to work. We got into real estate to make a lot of money. The last thing is we have to redefine what our definition of success and work is. Success is learning from your past and becoming better every day, which means you have to have number one, which is a mechanism to watch what you said, how you performed, how you acted. And two are what was the first one? Somebody help me out. I forgot. What did I just say?
A mechanism or a tool to review.
Before that, see who's listening. I'm testing you guys.
Time's number 2.
Oh yeah, time's number 2. Make the time.
Yeah. What's number 3?
Feedback loop.
Feedback loop. What's number 4?
Relentless practice.
What's number 5?
I don't think we got number 5.
Definition.
Redefine success.
Redefine success.
What was 4 again?
Somebody put it in the chat. So number 5 is you got to redefine success. Success doesn't mean that you win the client. Success means you did the absolute best you could have possibly done because you did all those other steps prior. Because if you're not doing the practice, if you're not doing the call reviews, if you're not having a feedback loop, if you don't have mentorship, then can you show up the best on your appointment? No. So when you say I'm doing the best, I would say that's effing bullshit. You see, you made me swear. I blame Mohammed. Thanks, Mo. I know. Mo's like, I just get called out, thrown under a bus. So my question is who's going to make the time? Who's going to create the mechanism? Who's going to have the role play so that they can have the life that they want? Because I'm telling you, if you're doing 20 deals a year, you're capable of 40. If you're doing 6, you're capable of 20. Why? Because there's people in this room right now that are doing exactly what you want, because they've done stuff that they don't talk about that you're not doing. All right. Anybody got any comments about that? Anybody got any comments?
Well, I know for me, yeah, making the time, I think, is the biggest thing. So just remembering to put it on my calendar and actually doing it
Put it in right
is
now.
like a game changer. So I really, gotta do that.
Here's 2 things you guys can do to upgrade your calendars. 1, Sunday review. Sunday review. You guys should have a checklist of the things you should be doing every week. Y'all should have a checklist of the things you're doing every week. And then if it's not in your calendar, you could put it in on Sunday. It doesn't take very long. It's like 15, 20 minutes while you're drinking a bottle of champagne for your mimosa open house. Technically, the champagne's supposed to be for the prospects that are coming in, but I know how it is in real estate. You work 7 days a week, so you may as well get a little tipsy before the open house. Who cares? That's just having fun. It's not like you can get fired. I mean, maybe you get fired from the open house. It's not like they could, what? Not going to lose your license because you came in a little tipsy. I mean, good God. Maybe you will. I don't know. I'm not an attorney. So you have to do these things if you want to win, right? You have to do these things if you want to win at a higher level. You got to do these things if you want to win at a higher level. But
Vikram,
what?
may I ask a question?
Who's this asking silly questions? Dakota.
Dakota, I always have silly questions.
I love silly questions. I'm a silly guy. What's up, bro?
So what do you think about? So I've worked with the time blocking thing for years now, and I find that, a lot of the conversations I have and my own personal issues with time blocking as a realtor often fall on like you block your time off, right, and then you get pulled in 15 different directions.
Mm-hmm.
And like staying religious, like what practices do you put in place to just stay religious with the blocks of time that you have and not getting pulled in 15 different directions, right?
Ooh, I love this question. So you don't need to time block your whole life. You need to time block the important things in your life. You need to have space in your day to do things that come up, but there's certain things that are very religiously important, and it's actually in the portal, Dakota. But number one is you have to have income producing time. Look at my buddy. Look at the one of our office mates. Her dog comes in, and I always give him treats, so he just comes and sits in my room now. You guys should always have treats for dogs on you. It's amazing. So one is you got to have your non-negotiables, right? So when you build your schedule, the first thing you do on Sunday is you sit down with your significant other or yourself, and you say, what are things that I have to be at this week, right? For my family, for myself, for my kids, right? What are those things? And you put those in first because you build a life by design, not by accident. Then the second thing you put in, right, is your wake up time and your sleep time. Because if you don't have a wake up time and a sleep time, then your life goes off the tracks. The third thing I would put in is what time do I stop working outside of like multiple offer situations? The fourth thing I'm going to put in is self-care. Right now, if your self-care routine's 44 hours a week, that's a problem, and you need to clean that up. Right? Like if you're spending more time on self-care than you're doing anything else, that's probably a problem unless you're fixing some sort of major illness. Right? But like you should have opportunities to go to the gym because self-mastery means you are healthy. Right? It's not about looking great naked, although you will look better naked. It's about actually feeling good so that when you show up to a prospect's day, to a prospect meeting, or you show up to be on the phone, you feel good about yourself. And so like going to the gym is one of those ways that you feel good about yourself because you don't want to go there. Never want to go to the gym. It's a freaking waste of time, but I love leaving there. I never want to get in a cold bath, but I love getting out of it. Right? I never want to get on a phone, but I love the outcome of being on the phone. Because if I want more appointments to help more people, what do I have to do? I have to do those activities. I have to do them at a good enough level so that I can have the impact that I want on the world. Fourth or fifth, I'm not sure where I'm at right now, is you have to have your income producing activities in there, right? Some of you need 60 minutes. Some of you need 3 hours. I don't know where you're at in the world, but based off of your skill, you need to have what you need to have to hit your goals. If your goal is to do 3 deals a month and it takes you, let's say 20 appointments a month to get it, and it takes you 3 hours to book an appointment, and you need to have 20 appointments, you need to have 60 hours of phone time a month. And then you just have to sit down and effing do it, as boring as hard as it is, and get over the rejection. Because the only person who's rejecting you is you are rejecting yourself, because you're allowing the rejection into your life to affect you. Somebody was saying yesterday, when somebody says something to me, I'm just like, I shrug it off. Yeah. I mean, when people don't buy from me, I feel bad for about 20, 30 minutes sometimes. Sometimes I talk to Cody about it. Sometimes I talk to my coach about it. I go home, I don't remember that call. I review it, I debrief on it, and then I forget about it. I'm not like, oh my God. Like sometimes, when you could have done better, you're like, oh, I could have done this, I could have done that. But like, that's it. It's over. It's gone. It's done. The reason why we have so much attachment is because we don't do a good job and we don't have enough appointments. Because we don't have enough appointments, what do we feel? Scarcity. So when you have income producing activity on your calendar every day, you actually show up in a higher energy level for the people you're talking to because you're not so concerned about them taking action with you because you have other people on your calendar. The confidence that you get when you have 3 appointments, 4 appointments, 5 appointments, 8 appointments a week is effing nuts. Why? Because if one person doesn't transact with you, you're like, okay, that was my no. I have 6 more. Now, if all 6 of them say no, we have a big conversion problem, and that's okay. We can fix that. But most of you guys that come to us don't have enough appointments on your calendar. So now you're putting everything into that one person being ready to buy or sell right now. And that's a lot of pressure to put on that person that doesn't even know who you are. That's not even fair to them. You've already put them in a pressure cooker before you even started the conversation. That's not even fair. How is that of service? That's of necessity, and it's necessity to you, not to them. That is not showing up at your highest level, your highest self. That's screwed up. So your income producing activity is one of the things that must be on your calendar. Now, one of the things, Dakota, you can also put on your calendar is you can have blocks of time that you're willing to do appointments or blocks of times you're willing to show property based off of the life that you designed on Sunday. Now, if you're in a multiple offer situation, as many of you are, then you might need to be flexible a couple of days a week. But if you take time away from your family, what do you think you need to do? You need to make up that time to your family. Otherwise, they will resent you and they will hate your business. And then they'll say things to you like, well, you're doing all this stuff for me, Dad, but I never see you. And now you feel double whack-a-mole whammy bad because you don't get to see the people you love. And then when you're with the people you love, because it's on your calendar and you've told them and they've committed and they're excited, you take that away from them and then you don't replace it with something equal or better. And now they have resentment towards you. And there's only so many times that can happen before they're just like, all right, cool, I don't want to be around you anymore. And then they go from being your biggest cheerleader and advocate to the, I'm just going to go hang out with my friend. Why? Because we've hurt them too much. That was a loaded, lot of stuff came up there. Was that helpful at all?
Yeah, let me try to rephrase my question a little bit because everything you said is great, and I mean all those parts of the time blocking, and I've done that part of the portal, and I love the way that you time block. I have learned a lot from. Now, so like the morning time block, like I mean, there's very few appointments, right, on Monday through Wednesday or Monday through Friday at 9 a.m, right?
There should be 0.
So you set that time as admin time.
No.
Like
9 o'clock is income producing activity.
Okay.
I know, bro.
What?
That's a big pill to swallow. I got 7 more to swallow right now. That's a big one to swallow. That's like the horse pill.
I guess to rephrase my question, like when you're doing something and all of a sudden you get a phone call, like you're writing an offer or whatever, you finish your offer, but you got a phone call and they want to go look at a property, and you have the next 2 hours blocked off for prospecting, but somebody wants to go look at a property. Obviously, you're going to prioritize that, right? Now,
but here's the thing.
That's kind of where I fail all the time.
What time are they looking at the property? See, when you get your phone time done at 9 o'clock, 8 o'clock, now the rest of your day is what? Appointments, showings, clients, fires, everything. The problem is we don't do our phone time early. We do our phone time early. We do our income producing activities. I just call it phone time, right? So if you guys ever hear me say phone time, it means income producing activity. Whatever your activity is, you do it early so that when Dakota, you get that call at 7 o'clock at night and they want to go see a property and you're like, hey, I can see you at 7:30. oh crap, I can't because now I'm conflicted. That's why we do phone time in the morning. Well, Vic, they don't pick up in the morning. I don't care. Enough people do. When you have great conversations, enough people convert. You don't need 1,000 appointments as a realtor. You need 4 to 6 a week, and you're going to crush everybody in your marketplace. You're gonna have, your problem is going to be you have too much business and you have to refer it out. The other thing I'll say is y'all don't need to start teams. You just need to get good at referring people business when you don't want to deal with it. Collect yourself a nice 35% commission check. Don't have any overhead. Don't have any stress. You still maintain the relationship with the client. It's still your client. You refer it out, have somebody else who can't schedule appointments do the work, and then you go and negotiate the deal and you pay that person a shit ton of money for them showing houses. You'll be a happy, happy little bear. It's just how you frame things. People are desperate for money in this industry. So if you can book the appointment. So Dakota, to go off of my tangent, your income producing activity is the first thing you do in the morning. And that way your rest of your day is for that. If you have one fire you need to put out, you put that out at 8 a.m. You set everything. You set everything up to put that fire out. You send all the information right away at 8 o'clock in the morning. And then you put a away message. Hey, I will be unavailable between the hours of 8:30 and 10:30. If it's an absolute fire, please message my wife at this number and she will come and grab me from what I'm doing and track me down. And that's it.
Okay. And you're calling, so just to reiterate that, you're calling income producing activities essentially you're prospecting, making phone calls,
Follow up, prospecting,
following up with leads. Okay.
booking,
All right. Cool.
booking new appointments with people,
All right.
or following up with people you've already met. All right, guys, I got to jump into something different here, but I hope this was helpful. I know we went on a little bit of a longer tangent, but I will talk fast to teach you guys, I think, one of the most fun things that I do. Can you guys all see my screen?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you. Sorry, I lost you guys. I have too many screens running. So the first 7 minutes of your appointment are the most crucial. All right, the first 7 minutes of a listing appointment are the most crucial. And the reason why is because most of us do it the wrong way. And it's not your fault, but it is your problem. So let's think about this from a psychological perspective. Why are you going to their house? Why are you going to their house?
To secure the listing.
Secure a listing. Okay. What else?
To see the home and its condition.
See the home and the condition. What else?
Help solve a problem.
Help solve a problem. What else? Provide a service to sell their home, to earn their trust, learn more about them and what they want. Yep, I like that one. The reason why we go to somebody's house is because we're trying to meet them so we can figure out what their true overarching goal is, what their true underlying problem that they're trying to solve for. We're trying to figure out what the reason that they had us come over, because they're not looking to sell their house. They're looking for what? To move somewhere different because what they're currently in is no longer fitting the needs of the chapter of their life. So the goal is to go to the next level with them. Now, a lot of the people you guys meet in in a listing presentation, do they have interest rates that are pretty low? What's the difference
Yes.
what's the difference on $1,000 between 3% and 6.5%? Just curious. Who knows that off the top of their head? Please, somebody help me.
$3,500 a year.
Let's do monthly.
Well, I can't do that in my head.
Somebody help us out. 35 divided by 12.
I always use $1 million and say 7 versus 5, so it's easier. 20 grand.
Okay, so 20 grand divided by 12 is how much?
What's that? 15.
1,700.
$1,700 a month. For some people, that's a lot of money. For other people, it isn't. So that's on $1 million. It's an extra $1,700 per month on their payment. The reason why I want to share this with you is because your people, when you walk into a listing, are psychologically stuck on 3%. And now they have to go to what? Higher. Double for some, more than double for others. So are we going there to look at their home? Are we going there to have a talk about what their needs are, their goals are, their strategy? And how do you align with that? And how do you, right? Because what you're asking people to do, even though they had you come over, you're asking them to make a commitment to you that essentially is going to be, if they're going into a bigger home and they're going to be there for 10 years, and let's just use $1 million, you guys should know your own numbers. Don't look at me for your numbers. I'm not a babysitter here. You should know these numbers based off of your average price point. So if somebody's at a $500,000 and they're at 3% and they're going to 650,000, or let's just use $500,000, and they have to now go to a 6.5% commission mortgage, what's the difference in their monthly payment? Take that, divide it by 12. That's going to give you their yearly difference. Divide that by 10 if they're going into kind of like a forever home where they're going to be there for about 10 years. And what are you asking them to commit extra money to you? Because that's a big number for a lot of people. If it's 20 grand times 10, that's $200,000 over the course of 10 years that they're going to pay. Is that a fairly large number? Anybody not think $200,000 is a lot? Because Allie, get their credit card number and go ahead and give me a bonus. Allie, you can have 50% of it too, just because.
Thank you.
I mean, it's a lot, but conversation I've been having about is when rates do drop, they're going to be on the right side of the equity.
Right.
Kind of that kind of thing. But also their goal hasn't been about the interest rate. It's been, they want to unlock equity and go big cash.
So those are different conversations, Matt, and those are all important conversations to have, right? Those are super important. But what we need to let them know is that we're not here to look at their home. We're here to what? Have a strategy session. And you can only have a strategy session, Matt, like you're talking about, is when you're sitting down at this dining room table. So when we're asking somebody to pay, not us, it's not that we get the money, but we are going to ask them for 3, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10% commission, whatever you charge. You are going to ask them for, if it's $1 million, you're going to ask them somewhere between $20,000 to $40,000. And then we're also asking them to commit to an additional $200,000 so that they can get to their next level. How big does the pain need to be for them to move?
Pretty damn painful.
Got to be pretty damn painful. Because that's a lot of money. That's a lot of money. And it's a monthly pain that they're going to feel for as long as they're in that property. So when they go from their house to the next house, how big do we need to build that pain of why they wanted to have you come over to look at their house? Small or big?
Big.
Yeah. Because nobody moves because they're happy. They move because there's something that they're internally not happy about. They want to go to something else because there's something in their world that's changed. So this is why I needed to talk to you guys about how do we become better? Because in the market we're in, it's hard. It's super hard. So when we're at the door, right? When we're at the door, oh, why is this thing not working? There we go. We're at the door. Something like, hey, nice to meet you. Looks like we booked in some time to see if we could possibly help you get your home sold. Does that sound correct? Yep. Awesome. So where can we sit down to strategize first? Now, I'm going to actually update this right here. Looks like we booked in some time to discuss. Now, I'm not going to change it here, but if you guys want to, right, you guys could put something like, looks like we booked in some time today, see if we could possibly help you get your home sold, or it looks like we booked in some time today to talk about your next steps in life. You choose what you like, right? You choose what you like. I'm just giving you guys an option, right? So some people feel like it's a little too aggressive to go with getting your home sold. I kind of agree with you. It looks like we booked in some time to talk about your next steps in life. I prefer that answer, just so you guys know, as I look at this with our current state of the economy. And the reason I like that is because Are people looking to sell their home? Or are they looking to go to their next steps in life?
Next steps in life.
Right. So does that sound correct? They say yes. Great. Now, when we ask them what, where can we sit down and strategize? Where can we sit down and have a discussion about what that looks like? It kind of rolls into a more kind of conscious communications effort, right? So I like that. I like that. So where can we sit down and strategize? Where can we sit down and talk about that next step, what that looks like first? Now, what are they going to say to you? If they've had a bunch of agents come over, what are they going to possibly say to you?
You don't want to tour the house first?
You don't want to tour the house first? Isn't it funny that they all say the same thing? And you're going to say, no, I don't. But you can't just say, no, I don't. You're going to be like, no, actually, it'd be better if we could sit down and talk about your guys' goals and needs first, because that's really like the most important thing. And then once we're done with that, I'll be able to take a look at the property with the right light, with the right insight to give you the correct feedback. Is that cool? Yeah, that sounds great. Awesome. Now you're going to ask the question again, and you're going to be a little bit more fast if they haven't already started walking to a dining room table. So where can we sit down and chat? Right? The speed of that secondary question is super important, because if you just ask if you're just like waiting for them to take you to the table, they're not going to know what to do. And they might be like, well, no, we actually want to do the tour first. Right? Because they want to tell you about how they upgraded the carpet in 1977 and how it's worth $4 million now. And you don't want them to do that. Plus, how much time do you have before people start to tune you out?
5 minutes.
So if they do a 20-minute tour of their property and you sit down with them, do you think now that they feel like they've already had a conversation with you? And now you go to strategize and they're like, yo, just tell me the price of my house. Let me tell you about my 37-point marketing plan. And they're like, yo, get out. We're busy. Oh, we got to go get our kids. Oh, we got to go run here. Can you just tell us what you do? And then you feel the pressure instead of booking in another appointment. You feel the pressure because you went there to give them information, and now you have to. So now you try to crush everything in 7 minutes, and they're like, awesome, we'll talk to you guys. We'll call you later. And the next agent that comes over lists the house with them. So there's a secret package that you guys leave. And inside of the package, right, you're going to put a couple of things in there. You're going to put the what, who, somebody help us out in the chat. What do we put in the secret package that we leave the day before on their porch? Somebody help me out. If y'all don't know this, I know who's not studying. Tax records. What else? Ooh, I know some of you guys need to go back to module number 5. What else? The 3 agreements that govern a real estate transaction. Camila?
Calendar?
And you need to have some blank calendars. Why? Because inside of your presentation, you're going to build out a calendar with them. Okay? So this is Sharon's 0 moment of truth, right? This is his question that he loves. He's like, now before we get started, I should ask, are you guys ready to list your house with me today? Smile. You're going to be playful with it, right? So, hey, now before we get started, Eric, I should ask you guys, are you ready to list your house with me today? Some will say yes. Most will say no. No, not yet. We got a lot of questions for you. Okay, no worries. Is it okay if we just jump in then and get started? Yes. Nobody wants to talk to you guys about small talk. I promise you, they don't. You know how I know? How many of your clients that you guys spent hours and hours and hours with send you Christmas cards? Exactly. Not very many. And the ones that do, it's because you built an insane relationship with post the purchase as well. That's why you're friends. So like we could just move right into it. So let's just say that it was let's just say it was an ad. So, hey, I was curious when you guys were going through the ad, right? What made you want to book in this call to me, right? Or, hey, I was curious when we talked on the phone yesterday, right? What made you guys want to book in this longer call with me today? And they should open up a little bit about what their next chapter. So do you see why I also like this question right up here? You see why I also like this question right here? Let's talk about the next step in your life. Let's see what the next chapter looks like. Is it cool if we talk about like, that first? So, hey, I was curious when we met at the open house and I called you. Why'd you want to book in this call with me about possibly, making a move at this point? And now they're going to start sharing some stuff with you, right? I just need you guys to probe and clarify on that. Okay, so after you guys get that information, I need you to probe and clarify on that. How do you mean? Tell me a little bit more about that. Oh, okay, cool. Now we're going to go into the secret package. All right, you don't need to go too deep right here because we go deeper. Do we go deeper in the conversation, y'all? We go deeper later, okay? So I don't need you guys to go super deep right here. Now we're going to talk about the top secret package. Okay, so could you guys grab that package? Now, did you open it and peek in there? A little bit of playfulness, right? You're going to playful. If you guys open and peek in there, let's say they said, oh, we do. No worries. Our best clients are always just like you. So if they open it, you got it. If they didn't open it, no big deal, right? Step one is we talk about the tax records. We're sitting down, you guys, we're 2 minutes to 3 minutes, maybe 4 minutes into the front door. And we're already talking about what? Numbers. We have a little bit of their overarching goal. We know where they want to move to in life. And now we have numbers out on the table. The reason why we move to numbers so quickly is because when we lay out what they bought their home for a few years ago to where it is now, they can't start coming up with these asinine numbers, right? Now, don't ask people what they think their home's worth, because if they knew what their home was worth, they don't need you. It's like when I ask you guys, hey, what do you think your number one problem is? Well, you need more leads. Really? You don't know what your problem is. Why? Because if you knew, you wouldn't be here. You had already fixed it 6 months ago. So people don't have the answer to that question. So the first thing we talk about is the facts of the home, and then we get into the what? The numbers of the property of when they bought it, right? And we're also going to do a little fact checking there as well. All right, so you're going to go right into the tax record. We're still 2, 3, 4 minutes into this conversation, y'all. Any typos, square footage, all that sucks. Okay, great. Now, the reason you to tie it all up and make it clean is so we don't need to get an appraiser out here or go to the city. We don't need to get an appraiser out here or go to the city. No, we're good. Awesome. So let's talk about the second thing, right? The calendar of events. Because most people are not ready to sell the minute you walk in, correct? I'm not sure what your guys' people are, but in my experience, most people are not ready to put their house on the market in 4 days, correct? They're kind of in the beginning stages. Am I off track or am I okay? Okay. So now it's our job to help guide you through the different timelines to help you achieve your goals. Now, if you already have their goal, you're going to insert what they want where the goal is, right? Because that makes it personalized. That shows them you're listening. And then when we build your timeline, if it's appropriate, we're going to kind of reverse engineer everything and work backwards from the date, right? I'm talking to you guys about a normal person's house that's not a foreclosure, not like a distressed property. We're just talking about normal people's houses here. If you guys have, probates and you're doing different things, there's multiple parties involved, like that's a longer conversation. But for right now, we're just talking about the bread and butter that most of us work in. So the reason we pull out the calendar is because there's a few things that we account for, right? And we want to build in the buffer zones. But right now we're already sharing expertise of what? The process. We're sharing expertise of the process. So there's some things we need to account for, like repairs, staging, designing, cluttering, right? Whatever the home needs in this market to sell. And we also need a couple of buffer zones just in case, because we want to protect your timeline so you don't miss the date that you want to get moved to. And if you don't have it, they might say it, right? And then you say, so would not moving have any negative ramifications? By you not getting to XYZ at the date you want, is there any impact of that, right? Remember impact and ramification questions, y'all. And what are we doing? We're seeing their motivation. If they say, no, we're just trying to be closer to our grandkids, we're not really in a rush, where's their level of motivation right now, high or low? Where's
Low.
low? So then you need to open up the conversation around what? The grandkids. Oh, where do the grandkids live? Where's is it your son or her son? I'm sorry. Is it? Oh, you guys, I can't do this sick. Where do your kids live? Right? Where do your grandkids live? And they're going to say, how often do you see them right now? Well, we only see them a couple times a year. How come not more? Well, because we live so far, travel, it's hard on us. It's hard to go to the airport. We're older, blah, blah, blah. The house maintenance, blah, blah. Oh, okay. So if you guys were closer, would you be able to see them more? Right. Okay. And how long have you guys been thinking about possibly getting closer to the grandkids? And is there any particular reason why you're trying to get closer? I mean, obviously, who doesn't want to see a bunch of cutie pies running around and grow up? But is there any particular reason that you guys are looking to be there instead of like in the Florida coast and have a nice, chill, warm retirement all year round? Oh, because our kids need help. What do you mean they need help? Well, because of their jobs, they both work, and right now they have to pay for support, and they don't make. Oh, okay. So is this something you've been thinking about for a while? Yeah. If you guys don't get there, does that have any impact on who? Not them. Who does it impact? Their children. Right? Do you see how we have to shift the impact from them? Because they're fine. They're chilling. They're retired, right? I'm just using this as an example. It impacts their children. You guys, if you're a guest, Mo's going to drop in a link for a survey, just so you guys could tell everybody how bad I was doing inside of our company. I would appreciate if you guys give me all one remarks. That would be great, because they always tell me I talk too much. So now we start to build the pain. We're now in 5 minutes. Maybe 6. Are we winning the conversation right now with our prospects? Oh, you better believe we are. So now we start to build the emotional door, right? So this is exactly what I was talking about, right? So we start probing and clarifying, right? Before we talk about our process, because they want to talk about what? The process, right? For buyer attraction, pricing strategy and pricing, and then our, kind of contract to close. I was curious, what do you guys currently like about the home? Anything else? You can ask a truth question. I mean, it sounds like you have a good home. Is there anything you guys would change about the property if you could? Again, this is for people that want to upsize. Do you see how there's multiple different conversations? So based off of your avatar, right, your ideal client profile, you might need to make some shifts into your scripting. If you're dealing with people that are downsizing, retiring, which we have a lot of people here that are, and they're moving to be closer to their grandkids, that's a different conversation than somebody who's looking to upgrade their house because they need more bedrooms for their young children going, right? So you might say, is there anything different about the property? Is there anything that's you would change about the neighborhood, right? Sounds like you guys have a pretty good system going on with your grandkids. Seems like you guys see them a couple times a year. Is there anything you guys would change about how often you see them if you could? Do you guys see how we have to manipulate the question to make it make sense for the people you're talking to? Is that resonating? Is that landing? Everybody, is that landing? I want to make sure that lands, because if you just say, hey, it sounds like you guys have a great house here. Is there anything you would change about the property if you could, or about the home if you could? And they're like, well, no, we love our house. It's perfect. Exactly what we wanted. We've only been here for 7 years. You're like, oh. But is there anything you would change about how often you're seeing your grandkids? Is there anything you would change about like you guys showing up for your kids? Is there anything you would change about the school districts, right? So based off of what they tell you it's going to help dictate what your conversation is. Does that land?
Yeah, it does.
Okay. So we go down, we build the pain, we ask some clarifying questions, we do a little bit of probing, right? We want to build how big of a pain, but we need to build it. If it's $1 million house, we need to build a $200,000 gap, because that's what they're going to be paying if interest rates don't drop in the next 10 years. And you don't know where rates are going, so we can't assume that they're going to come down. We can pray and hope, but 6% is a pretty healthy interest rate, just so you guys know, from a healthy economy standpoint. 3% is really low. 6% is actually pretty fair. And so you have to get them into that mindset that like this is going to be better for us. Probe and clarify, right? And now we start our presentation. So we start our presentation right here, and the transition from the gap is, okay, so is it cool if we get kind of going on what we do? Yeah. So my job is to bring you an unfair advantage by listing your home with us, and we can do that by plugging you into our track record of success. And now you're on step one of the process. But if you gloss over this section here, right, and you don't get some pain, what do you think happens at the end of the conversation with a lot of people who are just kind of on the fence about things?
Nothing.
What do you mean nothing?
I think that if you haven't gone through that process, it's usually just like, we'll let you know, is usually the response. If you haven't built that report and gone through a process and been listening and providing some feedback on what they give you.
They're going to say, we're not in a rush. We're just thinking about it, right? What else? What questions do y'all have?
You need to make sure that the wife is present.
All decision makers should be present, y'all. Yes.
And really, really dig into their pain to find out what is truly going on.
Kim, I feel like this is coming from a place of personal recent experience. Do you want to share why
Absolutely.
Do you want to share why that's coming up for you at the moment?
Do we have time?
Yeah, we got a few minutes.
No, I recently had a listing where the husband was taking advantage and kind of just driving the process, and he wasn't being completely honest with his wife. And I had a conversation with Vic. I was like, Vic, this house, it's too overpriced. It's ridiculous. I know it's not going to sell for this. He's like, you got to talk to the wife, Kim. I was like, okay, I'm going to go talk to the wife. And I had a secret appointment with her, and I spoke to her. And once I had that conversation, everything shifted, everything changed. And I got the house under contract 2 weeks later. And yeah, so
And
that's that in a nutshell.
I'll give you guys a little bit more context, right? Because this is an older couple. The husband's kind of been the one running the finances into the ground. The reason why, if you just do a standard kind of like industry standard listing presentation and you don't dig into the pain right here, the problem with that is that in this particular situation, which happens, y'all would be shocked, it happens quite often, especially, a lot of people think that just because people have a big house, they have a lot of money. They also have, people with big houses also oftentimes have a lot of money problems because they purchased something and they were already kind of stretching, and the minute things go a little south, that $1,700 a month, that $2,500 a month, the kids get bigger, that all starts adding up really fast, and their nest egg goes down really quick. And so sometimes in families, people don't share everything with one another, and they hide things. And because they hide things, one party knows more than the other party, but one party's trying to save face. And so the reason why we have to sometimes go hard in the paint and get people to open up and have actual meaningful conversations with you is because of this exact situation with Kim. And I've been in this situation. I don't know if any of you guys have been in the situation where one party says thinks things are better than they are, and then you realize, holy crap, we are completely screwed right now if we don't make a change. And then all of a sudden, like, their price in their mind goes from here, my house is the best house on the block, to where here, we need to get our house sold immediately. And when you talk about pricing strategy and you talk about the 3 pricing strategies, you're like, where do you want to be based off of your guys' situation? Do you want to be at aspirationally priced houses where you're testing the market? No. Do you want to be at competitive market pricing where you're competing with all the other houses on the market? No. Do you want to be where you're kind of like not competing against anybody and you have like an auction like process where you're driving the maximum amount of people so that you guys have the advantage of choosing the offer that's the highest with the most likely to close, so that you guys can get out of your situation to go to X, Y, and Z or blah, 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 blah? Which strategy do you, because we don't talk about price until we talk about strategy. But if we don't know they're paying and they say, well, we want to do aspirational pricing, you're like, well, that's just dumb. And you have nothing to anchor back on. You have nothing to sink your teeth into because you had a surface level conversation. Because sales is about service. And the service you provide them is by having them have honest conversations with you, but sometimes they need to have an honest conversation with each other. And sometimes during that honest conversation, you're going to realize that it's better for them to not move. And you're going to tell them that. And if they decide to move, they're going to use who? The honest agent who said, what? You shouldn't move. Because everybody else says, yeah, it's a great time to move. You're like, well, base it.
And I honestly thought that was the direction that they were going. I was like, okay, I'm gonna have a conversation with her. And she's like, well, we really don't have to move. No. Like she opened up and she like let it all loose. And I was like, oof, you guys really have to sell this house.
They have no choice. And all of a sudden that 1.75 dream, which she knew would never sell for, became the reality. And they went from 1.75 to 1.5.
Mm-hmm.
You guys, I've been in situations where husband and wife are at the kitchen table. One of my first $1 million sales, husband and wife are at the table. And oh my God, I literally thought I was going to get hit with the blown glass, like extraordinarily beautiful piece, because he hid so much stuff from her. And very shortly after the home sold, they got a divorce and they were already having problems, but she didn't know about the actual true financial problems. Both driving Lexuses, living the life, living in the nicest neighborhood. And they were bleeding money out of every like investment account that they'd ever put money into. And they were done. They were done. And she's like, well, no, we're good. We have money. And I'm like, yeah. And I just saw his face and I was like, she's like, so let's list it at 1.6. And I'm like, it's a 1-2 house. And as we had the real conversation, she's like, all right, Vic, where do you think we should be at? I'm like, 1.3 max, but probably 1.15. She's like, it was super hard. But that was what was right, not what was right for me. Val, what's up?
So do you think that if a seller is talking about a reason that they want to sell because of a new job, which would be considered more like pleasure, that I should try to get to the pain of like, you know, if you don't sell this house, then you're not going to have the money when you move? Or should I still try to get to the pain, or is it okay to still just be like, yeah, you have this thing to look forward to?
Why are they taking the new job?
It's a better opportunity.
Why are you looking for a better opportunity versus like, is it in a new city?
Yes, across the country.
Across the country? Do you guys have family here or family there that you're going to be closer to?
No, they're leaving family here.
Oh my gosh. So you're going to leave your family and support here to go to across the country for that new job?
So just do that.
Well,
what you're doing.
Well, the reason I want to know is because I want to help them also make a great decision. Right? So like,
so the husband and wife have opposite work schedules right now, which I think is the pain point.
Oh, wow. So if you guys can't
And-
find a job locally, like the only option you guys have is to travel across the country and sell the house.
If they want this new job, they either rent their current house
Mhm.
and rent a new house,
Mhm.
or they sell this house and buy a new house.
Well, why don't you just rent it and rent over there?
Because they want
No, let's role play.
acreage.
So why not just rent this house and then rent a house over there?
He said, I don't want to
we're
move
role playing.
twice.
We're role playing.
Okay. Well, I don't want to move twice.
What do you mean by that? Why not?
I want to get there and get settled.
Okay, and by settled, you mean what?
I want to be in our forever house.
Okay. And if you guys had to move twice, does that have any impact on you or the family? I mean, you're already moving them across country once, so that's a pretty big move. So like if you had to move them again in a year, like what would be the impact on your family over there?
It would cost more because this new job is paying for a move.
Okay. I mean, but money aside, right? Like money aside, does that have any impact on your family? Because money is just money. It sounds like you're going to make more of it. So it's not that expensive to move. It's a couple grand. Like by you uplifting your family from Pennsylvania and sending them all the way to North Carolina and then having to make the move again a year later, like do you think that'll have any impact on the kids, especially if they have to change schools twice?
Yeah.
How so?
Yeah. They're at an age where these changes are going to be big.
Oh, how old are they again? I'm sorry.
I'm not exactly sure. One is like a toddler, I think, but I'm not sure about the other one yet.
Right. And if the kids are not old enough where it matters, then you're going to say, well, with having such young kids, like how would it impact you and how would it impact you guys to have to not only just move once and go through all the problems of finding a home, finding a property, going through all the loopholes of moving, getting settled in with the young one, and then having to do it all over again in like, let's say 12 or 18 months. Like, how would that impact your guys' quality of life? Because I'll tell you, moving sucks.
Mm-hmm.
Just traveling to an airport and then going to a hotel sucks. And so if you guys forgot what it's like to move, let me tell you, I've moved like 72 times in the last 3 years. It's brutal. There's movers and there's shit that you have to go through, and then there's repairs it's brutal. And there's scheduling, and then you have to be there with the people. You have to take time off, right? You got to find the rental property, right? Then you got to find a house, and you got to go through an application process, hope and pray that you get picked. It's brutal. So you don't have to, Val, make them feel pain, but I'm telling you, I'm going to bring up some pain, because what is the common question that we ask in real estate? What's the Tom Ferry favorite question? Oops, I didn't mean to say that out loud. What's the TF favorite question?
I don't know.
Have you ever rented a property before? Have you ever been a landlord before? No, but it couldn't be that hard. Yeah, it's not actually that hard. Why? Because you can just hire somebody to take care of it. Well, what happens if people destroy your house? Well, what happens if they don't destroy my house and I make an extra $20,000 in equity over the next year, and I make, $6,000 a month, and my mortgage is $4,000, and I make an extra $24,000 in cash flow, plus I get the equity in the property, and I can go buy a bigger house next year. Oh shit! I didn't think you were going to say that. Well, I'm kind of screwed. Because your whole premise that a lot of us have been taught, right? And I used to say this too, was, well, have you ever been a landlord before? Right? But instead of saying that, I want to say, what's the impact of your family having to move twice when you're already uprooting them and taking them across the country? And if he's like, it's not that big of a deal, and she's like, it's not that big of a deal, you're like, Okay, cool. So why not just let's rent the house? Like, don't be afraid, y'all, to put the two choices on the table. I want to put the choices on the table. Hey, you don't think you need sales training? Why are you here? Why don't we just go buy you more leads?
Mhm.
In your database is 1,700 people. I'm sure there's nobody in there that wants to buy or sell real estate. So let's just go send you over to Zillow. You can spend $5,000 a month with them instead of being with us. Well, no, I don't want to do that. Why not? You should do that. That's what you want. So why don't you go do that? Well, no, I don't want to do that. Why not? Well, because of X, Y, and Z. Oh, what do you mean by that? Well, blah, 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 blah. Oh, so it sounds like maybe we should have a different conversation then. Yes. Let them sell themselves to you. So, hey, why don't we just rent the house? I can run the numbers for you guys. If you don't want to manage it, I got a property manager I can refer you out to. They do a great job. Why would you guys want to possibly buy a house where you live? Because don't talk about what? Don't talk about the sale of the house. Talk about what they're going to miss out by not buying a house.
Mhm.
And now your conversation is way deeper. And now if they do decide to keep the property, awesome. Who are they going to turn to next year?
On a stage it.
And when you have the story, right, Val, now you have a story about them. So next year, when you call them up at month 8, month 7, month 9, what are you going to talk about? Are you going to talk about selling the house, or are you going to talk about what?
Moving.
You're going to talk about, hey, when are you guys ready to get that acreage? And when are you guys ready to plant the roots so that the kids have the forever home to grow into? So all of the memories that you guys want are in this location instead of spread out over 5 locations. Conversation isn't about sales. Conversation is about what they want to get by having the property. Oh shit, you guys, I got to go. I'm 3 minutes behind. I'm going to get yelled at. Was this helpful, y'all?
Thank you. Yeah.
Okay. I really want you guys to remember all sales is service. And in order to serve people, you have to have hard conversations. They're not bad conversations. They're just hard. And they're only hard the first few times you have them. After a while, you're just like, oh my God, this is so easy. If you guys if you're a guest here and you didn't fill out the survey for Mo, well, I hope you learned something. But if you do want to fill out the survey for Mo, that'd be great. Mo, you want to drop it one more time while I get yelled at by Cody and Allie? 3, 2, 1. There you guys go. You could just click it. Oh, Mo, you sent it to me, so that's not going to work. But anyways, y'all, I appreciate you being here. Have a great day. Cheers.
Re-